This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.
Seeing that it is 6 o'clock, I will bring our meeting to order. I'm clearly not Chair Laura Scott. Chair Laura Scott is ill, and we have a quorum here in person, so we confirmed before the meeting that we are okay to proceed this way. So I'm acting chair this evening. I mean, maybe this morning too, I don't know. The chair is on the call and will participate, if possible, as a member of our committee. But we'll have limited access to doing that due to illness, which is going around for sure.
Yep, I know what that's.
Yes, so I will go ahead and roll call us in. Ben Hersey?
Ben Hersey here.
Eric Ayette?
Eric Ayette here.
Sam Hunter?
Sam Hunter here.
Linda Markey?
Linda Markey here.
Mayor Nicole LaChapelle?
Here.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, so that was the first announcement, and I'm going to do a couple of other announcements at this point. Oh, there you are. I'm not able to do two things at once, so I'm just going to add as a co-host quickly. Thank you for your patience. Okay. So a couple of announcements for the rest of the meeting. We do not have an executive session as scheduled on the end of our agenda today, so we will adjourn directly from our open session. We also have an additional action item to add to our action items at the end of the meeting for a great reason, because we couldn't have anticipated it. This is a field trip request form for We the People, who we are so proud of. So it's late breaking, yay! Yay. Yes. So this is late breaking action item. So just up front, wanted to say that this will be added to our action items at the end. Okay, and we will start with correspondence. And typically I'm the one to report correspondence. And I have one off the top of my head. Unfortunately, in the acting chair role, I don't have my email up. We have a really thoughtful email that we received from a member of our community who requested some sort of messaging from the district around sort of the current events that are going on and our district's stance on all of that, which I am pleased to, that we sent 2 emails recently on that topic. Did anyone have any other correspondence via email to report?
It's the only one that I'm.
That's the only one I saw, okay.
Yeah.
All right, and I am gonna turn it over to you. Will you do the gifts?
Yes, hold on.
Which is on the, I'm screening that on you.
Oh, thank you. Yes, gifts. I move to vote to accept the monetary donation of $11,230 from the Easthampton High School Athletic Foundation / Hall of Fame for specific items for basketball, soccer, cross country, track, and swimming and diving teams. And there's a specific list attached. And so I move to accept that $11,230 donation.
Second.
Okay, do we have any background or update that you want to additionally provide?
Do you have any background?
Not you, Sam, sorry.
Oh, okay.
Maureen, do you have anything we should let people know about that, or?
About
The donation from the Easthampton High School Athletic Foundation Hall of Fame?
We're all
No.
set with that.
Okay,
Super exciting stuff.
yeah, it's exciting. That's a really generous gift.
Yes.
Very generous gift, but
Appreciate it.
thankful for it.
Yeah. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? And any abstentions? And that reminds me, I said just at the start of the meeting that I was going to have Laura Scott be participating as a member, and then I didn't roll call her in. Am I able to still roll call her in, Sue Colby, at this point? Yes? Okay, so adding the official roll call, Laura Scott on this meeting somewhere, and I will just have you visually, or like do the virtual hand raise if you are, there you are. Okay, wonderful. And so then anyone abstain from the vote? And we're gonna count that hand raised again. Laura Scott abstains from the vote. And that brings us to, I think that one. Okay, do we have our student rep here to give us an update?
Right there.
Come on up. Ah, there you are, come on up.
Here she is. And the We the People person.
Good evening, everyone. I'm here on behalf of Student Council, and one of our key focuses this year has been unified sports. Recently, the Student Council had the opportunity to attend Unified Bocce event, which was a fantastic experience for everyone who attended. 4 life skills students from Mountain View Middle School also participated, and 6 of our Student Council members partnered with them throughout the event. In addition to bocce, we're supporting other unified sports, including unified basketball and unified track and field, through fundraising efforts by hosting snack tables at hockey games. And we're also several upcoming events in February, including Kids Night Out and Spirit Week. That's all. Thank you.
Very nice. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
What's unified? What is like unified bot?
Technically, like mentally disabled kids, because they can't participate in regular sports and stuff. This is so they can participate in things like track and field, basketball, and bocce.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good question. Okay, that is it for our announcements. So I will turn the floor over for public comment. And our rules for public comment are as they always are. I'll recognize folks who are in the room. As they go up to the podium, please tell us your name. We also do precinct or address. Do we do that here?
Yes,
There we go.
name and
Okay, so address and who you are. And we cap it at 3 minutes to make sure that everyone gets a chance to speak. And just a reminder that we are not able to respond directly, but we are listening to everything you have to say. And we have our first, and if you are interested in public speak online, please raise your virtual hand and we will get to you in a bit. We have our first up over here.
Hi, my name is Hannah Junior Levitz, and I'm a 4th grader at Mountain View School. Since starting at Mountain View, I had a really difficult time at recess. Almost all the activities involve climbing or doing the monkey bars. This is something I cannot do. I have mild cerebral palsy and my legs don't stretch as far as other people's. I know there are kids without cerebral palsy that have a really hard time too. My family brought me to the playground to practice, but it hasn't helped. So they bought a cornhole set to give me something to do. To give me something to do other than walking by myself, drawing with chalk, or watching my friends on the monkey bars. Unfortunately, the recess monitors don't always put out the cornhole or chalk even when I ask. It makes me feel like I don't have a voice. It's hard to always have to watch and not be included. It makes me feel sad and like no one really likes me. I get ignored even by some of my friends because they're too busy on the monkey bars. Thankfully, I found a great friend to play cornhole with, or Simon Says. I wish there were slides, accessible swings, or accessible play structures where all kids could play together. There's not a space for kids who don't have typical physical abilities or strong arms. All kids should have something fun to do at recess. Thank you for listening. I hope we can work together to make a playground accessible and fun for all.
Thank you so much. And Sam, would you mind keeping time for me, just in case?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Thank you.
Am I gonna use it? Can you hear me? Wait.
I can hear you.
Okay, good. Hello, our names are Beatrice Ewing and June Stackhouse, and we are here to talk about pretty much the same thing that was just talked about. It is a privilege to be here. We are 5th graders from Mountain View School, and we believe that the MVS playground should have better recess equipment. The playground only has structures for people with great upper body strength. If your arm muscles aren't the size of the Titanic, there's a good chance you will be bored at recess. That is bad for 2 different reasons. The first one is that if people are bored, they won't enjoy it. Recess is supposed to be a time to have fun. Also, when kids are bored, they will probably do something dangerous. Kids get into fights, arguments, and they may have bad physical contact. People get hurt and frustrated. This frustration can go into classrooms, which can impact learning. Teachers have to sort everything out. Recently, we saw a heated argument and 2 kids ended up crying. Kids are going home grumpy, which affects parents too. During the last month, we have made a petition during our recess time and have gotten many signatures. Unfortunately, we have lent the petition to our principals for safekeeping. I didn't have enough time to get it back, so it is not here at the moment. Although we have had quite a lot of people agreeing with us. The principals, almost everyone in 5th grade, members of the city council, and quite a few teachers and parents as well. We are here to ask for your support as we continue fighting to get better equipment. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sarah Amoroso. I live on Winter Street. I am a parent of elementary school, middle school, and high school student in Easthampton, and I am a paraeducator at Mountain View School who has at least one recess duty every day. And it's all true. Everyone does not have the ability to participate together in recess the way the playground is set up now. I know that it is disappointing to hear that our brand new playground is not serving the needs of all students, but unfortunately that is the case. I have had kids straight up say to me after, I've had to discipline them for inappropriate behavior. What else am I supposed to do? I can't use this playground. I have had many students say, can't we just have the Maple playground back? The Maple playground was in significant disrepair, but it had stairs. You could climb all the way up to the top of the slide and you could come down. There were other things too. But it really allowed everyone, or nearly everyone, to play together. I would just like to close by saying how proud I am of these students. This is not a me-led effort. June and B started this petition on their recess time because it was more fun than recess. And I have worked with them to, work on their little paragraph and to talk to them about who they should speak to, which is what led us here tonight. But this is their effort, and I hope that maybe some of you can come visit our playground. Maybe you can reach out, or their, teachers can reach out, and hopefully that we can make a more inclusive environment for everyone. And really, I'm just so proud of these kids. They're amazing. Thank you very much.
Do we have anyone else in the room? If you are interested in public speak remotely, if you had your hand raised, it might have gone down. Come on up, yeah. But just make sure to raise your IC. Laura Barron will be after the person who is here in person.
Carolyn Cushing on Main Street, and I'm just coming to thank the school committee for their unfortunate that it had to happen, but calling for the censure of Counselor Zaret. His behavior on all different kinds of initiatives and different issues has created a difficult situation on the city council, in other committees. It was something people talked about behind the scenes, and I really appreciate the work that you did documenting and talking about why it was needed as something about behavior to help our councils and committees work better together. So thank you for doing that.
Thank you. And I told Laura, not Laura, I don't think. I'm sorry, just a moment, because I told someone on here. Yes, you can unmute and go and do public speak.
Hi, my name is Blake. I'm in 4th grade at Mountain View Elementary School, and I feel excluded when I go to the playground. I feel excluded, like there's not much for me and other disabled kids to do. And I have something called cerebral palsy, and I also use a walker. And it's not fair that other kids just get to do whatever they want, and I'm just, roaming around, standing there, like, just watching. That's right. And what I'm asking for is support.
Yes. Thank you so much, Blake.
Thank you, guys.
Sorry to cut you off before. Come on up. Thank you, Blake. Thank you to everyone in the room.
Hi, my name is Liz, and I live in Ward 3. First of all, I want to say these kids are amazing, and 100% everybody deserves recess, so I'm looking forward to supporting you on your endeavors. Secondly, I wanted to thank also the City Council for bringing forth the censure. Erwin Zaret has a history of bad behavior from the past, and maybe it's not relevant now, but there's been times where he should have been called out and he wasn't, and I applaud you for taking the time to call him out. You could have just talked to the press and left it there, but you actually took a step forward, and thank you very much. And I think just the fact that the news article was not about how the school administration didn't react to or didn't respond to acts of hatred in the school system is telling. There was no story there. You did your due diligence, and thank you for taking a step further.
Thank you.
Nancy's done.
Any others in the room? And then Nancy's on. Okay.
Yep.
Nancy, we'll get to you after this.
Hi, I'm Nathan Marquis. I live at 37 Holyoke Street. I also want to applaud the school committee on their attempted censure of Owen Zaret, and I just want to let folks watching in the room, it's moving to Government and Rules Committee, Rules and Government Relations Committee. J.P. Kaczynski, I do not want to butcher his name, is the chair of that. So if you want the censure to move forward, put pressure on J.P. Kaczynski. That's it. Thank you.
Nancy, do you want to unmute and?
Sure. My name is Nancy Stenberg. I live in New City. I've served in town or city elected positions on and off for 15 years. The most important phrase I've learned as an elected official is to agree to disagree. Agree to disagree is a diplomatic phrase used when people recognize they have different opinions or perspectives on a topic, but choose to respect each other's viewpoint without trying to change the other person's mind. While agreeing to disagree is positive, it doesn't mean all perspectives are equally valid. It simply means recognizing that reasonable people can have different legitimate opinions. Councilor Zaret and I have had a few conversations regarding city government over the last 8 years. While we sometimes agree, we have also agreed to disagree on some points. So, Councilor Zaret, as your constituent, I'm asking you to agree to disagree on this issue so the school committee and the city council can focus on issues that are important to all the children and citizens of Easthampton. Thank you. And my husband's microphone is not working, so can he talk now or can you come back to me?
You can raise your hand again and I will recognize you as a separate.
Perfect.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Thank you.
Hi, I want to thank the school committee for its diligent work. And I also want to thank the administrators of Easthampton Public Schools. My name is Celia Euler. I live at 48 Nipfer Avenue. As a parent of 3 children who went through the Easthampton school system, my youngest is on track to graduate in June. And as a Jew, I can tell you that a school curriculum organized on interconnected issues of collective liberation is what I want for my kids. As a Jew and as a community member, I'm concerned about anti-Semitism as well as other forms of bias, discrimination, and oppression. However, I strongly disagree with Owen Zaret's campaign of pressure, arguing for specifically designed anti-Semitism curriculum. As a professor of curriculum, I want to make my support for broad anti-bias curriculum very clear. Thus, I do not support Counselor Zaret's campaign. However, it's not the content of his campaign that most concerns me. Based on the public record, it's clear to see that Mr. Zaret has badgered both school administrators and school council members. This is a blatant misuse of all these people's time and energy. Frankly, I'm deeply embarrassed that Mr. Zaret might be understood as representing Jewish parents in Easthampton. His behaviors are appalling. I applaud the school council members who unanimously took this major step to ask that he be censured for behavior that's antithetical to respectful public service and public debate. I fully support that Owen Zaret be censored for his belligerent actions.
Nancy, not Nancy.
Nancy's husband. Yeah.
Nancy's husband.
Hi, thank you. My name is Garrett Skank. I also live in New City in Precinct 2. I want to commend the school committee for bringing Counselor Owen Zaret's alleged bullying in front of the citizens of Easthampton. From everything I've read, it appears the committee bent over backwards to hear Counselor Zaret's concerns, but nothing was good enough, and ultimately it was his way or the highway. You were right to put your collective feet down, and you have my full support going forward with the motion to censure Counselor Zaret. That said, I wish to address the issue of the Anti-Defamation League, or ADL. Under the leadership of Jonathan Greenblatt, the ADL has become part of the right-wing misinformation industry. Last year, they spread a libel about the college protests against the Israeli genocide in Gaza, claiming the protests were anti-Semitic, and even that the organizers were proxies for Iran. This despite the clear and obvious fact that Jewish people were heavily represented in the protests throughout the country and indeed the world. How would the ADL teach about the Holocaust in a post-Gaza genocide world now that they never again comes with an asterisk? I don't want to find out. I sincerely hope that the numerous contacts between the ADL and school committee members, orchestrated by Counselor Zaret and reported by the committee in its submission to the City Council, were out of an overabundance of caution and concern about potential and actual bullying from the counselor. I would hope that going forward, under no circumstances will Easthampton Public Schools have anything to do with the ADL. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ben Ewing.
Ben Ewing, you can unmute. Leah Ewing.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Okay, it's actually Leah Ewing, Briggs Street, Easthampton. And I just wanted to talk about school council. I've been here before. I'm a parent on school council. And we recently met to discuss our school improvement plan. And I wanted to share that this year it was a lot more detailed. I think you guys are reviewing it tonight, but I could be wrong. It was a lot more detailed than it was the previous year, and I was excited about some of those changes. However, there are still some sections that I want to draw your attention to, one of which is the instructional leadership goals. Some of the goals just don't make sense to me mathematically. One of them was to ensure that 80% of students attain 80% progress in the ST Math Journey curriculum by the end of the year. And anyone who's worked in education knows that that's like a very high benchmark to set. Now, last year, I brought forth a complaint that we weren't setting any benchmarks based on normative data that made sense. So I just want to make sure that we're paying attention to what those numbers are, because teachers are supposed to be given the opportunity to look those over and agree to them. And I'm just kind of confused by how we're arriving at such a high number. I want it to be attainable as a parent and as an educator. And then the second thing that I wanted to mention to school committee is that when we met this last time, a comment was made that the school improvement plan, the administration said we weren't sure if parents needed to sign off on it, parents who are on committee. And my understanding of reading the guidelines is that we do need to approve it. And so I guess I just want admin to take some time and think about, like, what is the goal in writing these plans? And
30 seconds.
How much does it matter that other people's eyes are on it, including teachers and parents' eyes? Because when I heard that, I felt like, I'm not sure if my time there is, being valued and what the purpose of it is exactly. And it'd just be nice to know if that mattered or not. Yeah. Some improvements in that area and some just gray areas still where I'm not really sure what the goal is or
Leah,
we just
hit 3 minutes. I'm so sorry to interrupt you. If you have any last thoughts, we just hit 3 minutes. And for fairness of everyone in the room, if you have any last thoughts to wrap up, I'm sorry to interrupt.
Nope, that does it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any others in the room or online for public speak? I'll give it a minute. A minute feels like a long time. We're waiting for someone to raise their hand. Right. Seeing no others, I'm closing public speak and we will move on to our superintendent update.
Great. Okay. So we have a lot to get approved tonight. The first one is the EHS graduation competency determination. The last school committee meeting, I explained what competency determination meant. And basically, for people that may have missed that, because we voted in Massachusetts to not have the MCAS be the competency determination, the state can no longer authorize that students are reaching the academic goals and standards set by DESE through the MCAS test. So we had to find another way to do that. And so we did meet leadership team with the high school principal and assistant principal, who then vetted it through guidance and a leadership team in the building, and came up with this document that you have in your packet. I think I'll ask Principal Mr. Evans to come up and explain that.
Good evening, everyone. So in looking at setting a competency determination, we started with what is the MCAS, what has the MCAS been asking students to do over these last 20 years. And there's 3 subjects that students have been tested on that they need to pass and before they're eligible for a diploma, 1 in English, 1 in math, and 1 in science. And students are typically were tested in 10th grade. So what we tried to do is look at where our curriculum aligned with those tests and where the standards matched up and draw equivalency to the classes, the courses in our program studies that met those standards that we would find in the test. So in English, passing the 10th grade English class, we felt was the equivalent, met the same standards as students were asked to meet in the 10th grade MCAS English test. In math, we are saying that students need to have a passing grade in both Algebra 1 and Geometry or comparable courses to meet the math competency. And in science, the passing grade in either biology or physics. And again, in science, MCAS test was either biology or physics. And so we're saying if you pass that class, it's about the same as passing the MCAS. So those are the competencies in those 3 subjects. And the good news is all of those subjects are taught and pretty much required through our graduation requirements anyway. So we don't really need to change a whole lot. We just need to make sure that the courses are meeting those standards and that the students are passing them with a legitimate grade. So I'm happy to entertain any questions about that.
Are there any questions for the committee?
I just want to clarify, so we're talking about, this is to replace the MCAS as the current or as the former competency determination, but this is not, obviously not the entire list of what's required in order to graduate from high school. So
No, our graduation requirements are based in credits, and credits are accumulated over 4 years. So there's a grand total, and then there's also a number of credits that need to be earned within each subject.
Right.
But the competency, what we're saying, the set of skills that students need to make sure that they have acquired reside in these courses.
Please.
I also want to add to your question too, that these competency determinations for the kids that have not passed the MCAS, right? So if you pass the MCAS, you've already received the competency determination for this year's senior class. For the kids that didn't pass, or the kids that didn't pass and moved new to your district, these are the way we're going to decide. Or kids that didn't graduate because they didn't pass the MCAS and want to come back. This is the way that will determine whether or not they receive the standards. Now, the state has said this is basically for this class of 25, and they're working on another plan on how we're going to do it going forward. So we don't really know right now. This is for 25, and they're saying they're working for another plan going forward, which we don't have that information yet.
So this is just for the kids who didn't pass the MCAS or transferred in, right?
Yes, and it might be for the juniors if they don't get the.
So I can clarify a little bit, because so we don't have any seniors that have not passed MCAS.
Right.
So they're all qualified through the competency determination. They just need to make sure they meet their course requirements.
Okay.
We had a number of juniors that retook the MCAS in November. Those retests are no longer being offered, is my understanding. So that we haven't got their results yet, but if they passed, I believe that those juniors would qualify because they took the test in November.
Okay.
And the law went into effect in December. I'm looking at the superintendent and wondering if that sounds like it's correct. And if they did not pass that retake, then we're going to default to their coursework.
Okay.
So part of the reason that we're looking at juniors also is that we don't want it to be senior year and maybe not get new guidelines.
Right.
And then we haven't given them opportunities to either make up a class, if they didn't pass English 10, or they didn't pass algebra, geometry, or algebra 2, or any of the science classes. So we're also looking at them because you want to pre-plan so that they have more an opportunity to graduate.
Right, that makes sense.
Anything else for me?
Any other questions on the committee? My understanding, do we need a vote in order to accept?
Yes.
I believe. Okay, and is there urgency on the vote? Does that need to happen tonight? Or
I think it'd be great for families
to know. Okay. I just wanted to get all the information in terms of considering, like, do we need to vote same day that we see something or not? Are there, in light of that we're talking about a vote to approve, are there other questions or thoughts from the committee?
Just, this is a temporary measure, this is like...
Well, this will be for this year, according to DESE, but again, it might be next year too, because they're thinking of a new way that we're going to be able to show that our students are competent.
Would we reapprove, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, it's a bridge between now and whatever.
It's a bridge.
Would we reapprove this for next year if MCAS
You would reapprove it again.
Okay, great. The only question I had remaining, here you are, is about how this might impact some of the students who fall in that special ed category of getting additional years
for transition services.
For transition services. Will this have any negative impact?
So students with an IEP are eligible to stay in high school until their 22nd birthday, and they have until that time to meet the standards set forth in those courses. They may not do it within the same time frame as other students. They may do it over longer periods of time, but they would still need to meet the equivalent of those in order to earn the high school diploma. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, that is my question. And they would still get all they get to use the services until 22 as they move forward. I just wanted to clarify for.
Correct.
Can I just add on that?
Please do. Yes, thank you.
Life skills students would still probably not follow this because you would have to show that you had competency in grade 10 English. So the course you took would have to be a regular grade 10 English course and a biology course. So they would still probably do the alt route, right? But if they were included, obviously, this is the route that they're going to take, is the competency determination.
Yeah, and some students, we're already planning for a curriculum that will go over 2, 3, 4 years. To meet the competencies in those subject areas.
Wonderful, thank you. If there's no further discussion, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I will do a motion to approve the competency determination as proposed here for next school year, or for this school year. This school year and next school year.
Ben seconded that.
Whatever it was.
Okay, fair enough.
Until we get
Until we get the guidelines.
Okay. Sam, will you repeat the motion?
A motion to accept these competency determination standards until we get new guidelines. Until we get new guidelines from the state.
And do you still second that? Ben still seconds
Ben's still into it. All right.
Okay.
Let's go.
All right. All those in favor, raise your hand or say aye. Aye. All those opposed? And if there are any abstentions, you can raise your hand online. Laura Scott is abstaining. Okay. Anything else on that? No. Should we move on to our school improvement plans?
Yes, so let's move on to the school improvement plans. First one, do the EHS school improvement plan.
So they can draw straws for who goes first.
I think it's important to know that when you do the school improvement plan, it is the responsibility of the principal, and then they bring in as many people as they can in the school, and also the parents to help out with that. So it sometimes gets vetted through their instructional leadership teams, different groups. In the middle school might have a different group that vets it. There are teachers that are present that represent teachers on the school improvement team also. So although the principal's main responsibility is to do the draft of that, and based on different meetings with staff members, with their leadership team, with their data team, the principal does draw that up, and then it becomes a draft, and it's presented then to the teachers, the family members, and the other administrators and students in some cases, right, that are on the school leadership team. So I wanted to just say that as an introduction to all school improvement plans, and then we'll pass it on to you, Mr. Evans.
Thank you very much, Superintendent Benenda. So yes, our school improvement plan as of this year, thank you for last year's work, is a 2-year plan. We base our school improvement plan on our 5 core practices that we have in common in the district. So I'm going to just mention which each core practice is, and then the subsequent goals and benchmarks within those. So core practice 1 is in intentional instructional practices. The overarching goal in that area is the school state differential score on MCAS writing will improve from -14 in 2024 to 0 by 2026. So in a nutshell, when we looked at our 2024 MCAS writing, we were 14 points below the state average. We believe we understand why. We believe we have a plan in place that will correct that. And I believe by the time the school improvement plan reaches its conclusion that we will have come even with the state scores at least. I set a benchmark of -7, so the halfway point between now and then for this year. We have some things in place that are curriculum and coaching that I think will improve our scores. So that's the first one. Core practice 2 is in specific student support practices. And in this one, I'm looking at attendance. EHS will decrease chronic absenteeism from 22.3% in 23-24 to 15% by 25-26. So chronic absenteeism, as you probably know, represents a student is considered chronic absent if they're absent for more than 10% of a school year, which is 18 school days. We measure ours by the semesters, nine days in the fall semester and 9 days in the spring. So 22.3% still feels like pandemic hangover, if you will.
I'm sorry, my child was coughing. I was just making sure it wasn't just weird background noises. I'm sorry to interrupt.
That's quite all right. I appreciate the facial gestures that was divided attention. And so we saw a decrease in our chronic absenteeism from 2 years ago to last year, but not at the rate that we'd like to. So we're continuing to work on that, and I believe within 2 years we'll be able to get down to our pre-pandemic levels, actually better than that. I set a benchmark for 20% for this year, and then the goal is for 15% within 2 years. The next area is in leadership practices. EHS will establish a community of practice through leadership, shared responsibility, and professional collaboration. The goal is EHS will continue to implement a 2-year professional inquiry plan that allows teachers to work in small groups to research, pilot, and report on specific techniques or interventions that support student learning. So we have a very unique professional development program. It shouldn't be unique, but it is. I think it is in terms of how high schools typically run their professional development program. Ours is based on an inquiry cycle where teachers are provided guidelines based on our data, some overarching goals based on our data, and they then form inquiry groups to explore ways to improve teaching and learning, and then they try stuff out, they do some research, they try stuff out as a group, they collect data, they analyze, they try again, and then they report their results back to the rest of the staff to share out. It is exactly what true professional development should be about at this level. Teachers are taking responsibility. We do bring in experts to consult and coach, but it is really teacher-driven and data-driven. So we want to, this past cycle was our first 2-year cycle, and we are feeling like that was a good idea. It gave people more time to implement and try things and experiment and to collect data. So we are wrapping up our 2-year cycle this spring, and we will start a new one in the fall. We also have a second goal in this area. And the second goal is by June of 2026, EHS will have a working proposal from a task force to reimagine the senior year experience. The goal of the task force will be to recommend ways to provide seniors with experiential learning opportunities through possible internships, community service, et cetera, that will inform their post-secondary choices. So what we really want is by the end of this improvement plan to have a recommendation from a working group on how our senior year can be more substantial and feel more relevant, I think, to students. One of the things that I think happens is that students get to their senior year and there's very few courses that are mandated for graduation by the time they get there. Some students even graduate, some students graduated just last week, actually. And so it's possible if you set out to do so, to graduate in 3.5 years. That's not because the program is not rigorous, it's because our graduation requirements and our block schedule line up that way. I've had experiences in other districts where internships and other opportunities provided truly more meaningful experiences for seniors. I think everybody knows what the term senioritis means, and the problems that seniors have staying motivated all the way through to the end. So I believe we can do some better things there. I believe the school council believes so. So we're going to set forth on a path to see if we can do that. And the final is core practice number 4, family engagement and positive climate and culture. Our goal here is by the fall of this coming year, EHS will implement an anti-bias curriculum that all students will have access to. Not just in response to recent developments, but also because we believe that this is something that is due, and perhaps overdue, to have a rigorous anti-bias curriculum. We do believe that we have embedded in much of our curriculum practices and that reflect our core values and that promote an environment that is safe for everybody. However, we can be more explicit, we can be more direct, and we can be more encompassing with that, I believe, with a truly rigorous and vetted and high-quality anti-bias program. So our goal is to, assuming approval of the plan, to form a group to explore what anti-bias curriculums are out there that might fit our student population and our needs, and to have that recommendation and a program actually working and in place by the fall. And that's our school improvement plan. Happy to entertain any questions.
Thank you. Anything that you want to add before we just go into questions?
Well, I just want to add that it's a very comprehensive plan. It's forward-thinking. And I think the part that we're really looking at anti-bias and hate training and getting people in the school, students and staff involved in it is an important component. And I like that we did a 2-year plan, because truthfully, the 1-year plans, you only can do so much in 1 year, but if you can keep the same goal and move forward in 2 years, you have a much better chance of obtaining it and it being really good work. So I think it's a great plan. It's very thorough and people involved in putting it together. And I'm looking forward to tuning in the future on these video meetings and seeing how this plan is going, because it really does sound great. Great job.
You're always welcome, boss. You know that.
Yeah, just to give a little background on this 2-year plan, this is partially a result of the work sessions that happened over the summer, where we were able to all get together and school committee administrators and some concerned parents, and really turn some of the conversation that had been happening into productive things like this. And so that came out of this meeting, that now we have a 2-year plan versus a 1-year plan. And I just wanted to give that background that comes from parent advocacy, which we always appreciate, and administrator advocacy. Mayor, did you have questions?
Yeah, I just had a question about like the anti-bias curriculum, and how would it be selected? Like what's the process of when you pick any curriculum, or is it, yeah?
So because this is not like a school subject, right? I am opening this process up to any stakeholders that, to what I'm hoping would be a wide range of stakeholders, including parents, students, faculty members, administrators, and certainly Julian Levin is the curriculum director. For them to do the research, do the vetting, talk to other districts that may have programs in place, and then make a recommendation to me at the end of that process. So that's what I'm looking for.
Do you think that there will be, and maybe this is something that the good doctor will get the same question or answer now, do you see there being a curriculum or something developed between the middle school and pre-K-8 school and high school? Is there,
That's a good question. I think it remains to be seen whether those programs exist in that way. It would be great if students coming into the high school had vocabulary and background in language that would support what we were trying to do. It's not always seamless that way, but certainly our goal is to create something at the high school. I don't mean to, impose that on anybody else. But if we found something that was a a good fit for the entire district, certainly we would share that.
Right, and the focus across all grades, I mean, the curriculum should be appropriate developmentally and tie into other parts of the existing curriculum within that school rather than trying to stretch something. It was just more curiosity than expectation.
We'll see where the process takes us.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions from the committee? I do see Laura Scott has raised her virtual hand. Laura, do you want to unmute and jump in?
Hi. Hello, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Evans. I just have a question about core practice 2. I'm wondering if you can speak at all. I know this is the first year that we've been using the BRIGHT program. I'm wondering if you can speak at all to the level of participation we've seen. I know it's very early still, but I'm curious how that's being received at the high school.
Sure, thanks for the question. We've had, so for those of you wondering what Ms. Scott is talking about, BRIGHT is a transition program. We have a 2-year grant that is funding a clinical director and an academic director. When I say transition, students that may have been out for a lengthy period of time, either due to a hospitalization or an illness or a mental health concern, coming back into high school, you know, like you get off the train keeps going, and then you try to get back on, and it's really, really imposing and difficult. So the BRIGHT program is designed to allow students to have more of a soft landing when they come back and to get them back into class in a way that's smoother and easier and more accessible. And they have clinical support if that's necessary, and they have a person to help them with their academics and be a liaison between them and the teachers. So it is new this year. We've had, I would say, 5 or 6 students in various times in and out of the BRIGHT program. I think it was essential in supporting some students who came in later in the year with some significant challenges, and we have been able to transition them now into a educational program that we didn't have at the beginning of the year, and that without BRIGHT, I don't think we would have been able to really service those students appropriately. So it really has been helpful, and we look forward to it served a purpose that I did not expect necessarily in the first semester. It filled gaps that we didn't anticipate. So when I look forward, I still have a vision of what I think it will be, and I anticipate that it will be something different. Laura, does that answer your question? Great.
Thumbs up. Great. Any other questions from the committee?
I was just going to ask about the chronic absenteeism, and I know that's something we talked about last year as well, and you know, this is obviously kind of an ongoing thing. I was just wondering if you're finding things that are working or seeing improvements in that. Aside from the BRIGHT room, which sounds awesome, I'm really glad that that's helping.
Yeah, and I think without that program, the students that took advantage of that were really able to overcome serious challenges that would have just looked like bad attendance.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
So I mentioned the pandemic. I do believe that there's still a number of students who struggle with being in school as a result of the years that they were out of school. And what I'm anticipating is that as that population ages through, that a lot of that will sort of correct itself.
Yeah.
In the meantime, we continue to correspond with students and parents through letters, emails, phone calls, meetings, to encourage positive attendance. We have a student support team that sort of teams up and divides up the students based on who's got the best relationship with them to try and work with them to make sure that they are coming to school. It is one of the most frustrating problems because we can't help kids who are not present.
Right.
And so, but we are making every effort. I do think, you know, it's both, it's credit, there's a stick at the end of it, right? If you're not here for enough classes, you don't get credit for classes. And we stick by that. And there are a number of kids who, I think, now that we're at the beginning of the spring semester, are really looking more closely at their attendance because they understand what happened in the fall semester was not something they want to repeat.
Right.
So it's a combination of encouragement and consequences.
Yeah.
And continuing to build a culture, I think, in the school that feels welcoming and that students, feel like they can enjoy being in our building for 6.5 hours a day.
Yeah.
And that makes sense too, because I remember at graduation last year, those kids were 9th graders when the pandemic hit. So now your 9th, 10th, and 11th graders were all in that middle school chunk of time, which is so formative for social and awareness and cues and social connections. So I can see that starting to atrophy as they get moving away from that.
I appreciate that that observation, Eric. I totally agree. I never understood the value of middle school until after the pandemic when kids missed it. Somebody recently pointed out that a lot of those students, they were at the age where parents felt like they needed to be able to leave them alone for that time, whereas the younger students, parents figured out how to stay home. And it never really... I never really thought of the impact of that, where students 12 years old alone being expected to engage in online school.
Yeah.
Yeah. It went as well as you could expect.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? No, I just think it's great. I love the specific benchmarks. I'm excited that it's a 2-year plan. I think it looks amazing. I'm really excited.
I just wanted to say that I'm really...
You're almost done, sorry.
That's good.
Yeah, all of these are just... I guess I just want to say that I'm really proud that these are the types of things that we're working on. And I'm really excited about the envisioning the senior year experience. I think that one of the most important things is for students to really be a part of the community. I see this as an opportunity to kind of be a bridge for seniors as they are perhaps going, they're leaving high school. Some of them will go on to college, some of them will go into jobs, but at least being very connected into their community at that time, I think is just very exciting for all of us.
Good, thank you for that feedback.
I have one last question for you, just to get a sense of like the timeline of things. I also, all of the types of the goals that are in this plan are just really amazing for our district to be doing. So school council met and approved and was working on these like throughout the fall?
Yeah.
Okay, so like prior to...
So school council started meeting in October, I believe. I started drafting a plan, gave them a draft in December for them. There was actual feedback that caused us to change some things around and add some things. And then in January, we met and they had an opportunity to review it and approve it, so they all voted for it. We also had the opportunity then to share it with the staff, as Ms. Benenda pointed out, so that they could weigh in on it if they had any feedback. So it's made the rounds.
That length of time of how long you've been considering these goals, I think is great to run this.
Great.
Great, thank you. I will entertain a motion, if there's no more discussion, I'll entertain a motion to approve the Easthampton High School Improvement Plan for 2024 to 2026. Do we approve it for both years or do we just approve one year?
It's one plan.
It's one plan?
Yes.
So it's the 2024 to 2026.
I so moved.
There you go.
So moved by Linda.
I'll second.
All right, all those in favor? Aye. Aye. All those opposed? And any abstentions? Laura Scott is abstaining just because they are not here in person to be able to. Thank you so much.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Okay, my turn again?
Yes, your turn again.
Okay, so now we're going to talk about Mountain View plan. I had an appointment, so I was late for some of the conversations that occurred, but this is the School Improvement Council that I regularly attend. And one of the things I did say at that meeting was that I thought this plan was excellent. There were concerns last year that some parents had made, and there also were some concerns about the middle school, about the scheduling, and those concerns were included now in this plan. And as far as members of the school being very involved in this, a very unique situation that is at Mountain View School is that they have what they call a MELT team. And I'll have Jill explain that too a little bit more clearly when she talks about the plan. But it's a fairly large group of teachers that are in the building. They come together and they look at data. Big thing at Mountain View is actually data meetings. We have math data meetings. They're in the middle school. They also meet. I think it's English and social studies, ELA and social studies, and math and science meet to talk about progress and what's happening there. There are opportunities for common planning time for the elementary school for them also to meet and talk about practice, and also if there's any concerns over certain students and what kind of supports can they really provide. So it's a big school with over 1,000 students there, pre-K to 8. So there's a lot going on with a child from pre-K to grade 8. At this meeting, everybody did get a chance to talk. 2 parents were online. They also got to put their input in it. And from where I was sitting, everybody agreed that this was a plan that we were going to go forward with. So because it did highlight other things we had talked about. One of the big things that the parent brought up was that they felt that the last year plan was more about elementary and that middle school didn't have their own goals. So in this plan, middle school does have their own goals. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Jill, who is head of school, and she can explain what MELT is and what they do so that you can see that this plan has been vetted by the faculty of the school, and the timeline for both high school and also Mountain View School are pretty similar.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I think Superintendent Fernando just stole my thunder, but I'm sorry.
We'll pretend we haven't heard it yet.
Okay. I've included in this year, well, our new 2-year plan. We're coming again off of a 1-year plan, but I've included some highlights and accomplishments from our previous plan, which I hope you have had a chance to review. We have also, similarly to the high school, included 4 different areas in this school improvement plan. The first one is instructional leadership. So this year, this is our first year where from kindergarten through 8th grade, we have a common assessment tool that we use 3 times a year as a benchmark. So our first goal is at MVS, we are determined to close achievement gaps and have students who entered the school year needing intervention or urgent intervention. Those are competency areas using this assessment, progress to on watch or at or above benchmark by the spring assessment period. Our goal is to have 80% of our students at K to 8 at or above benchmark by spring-based assessments on the Renaissance Star reading and math assessment. So we start off the year in September giving this assessment to all of our students. We test them again in January and then again at the end of the school year. We identify students who need Tier 2 intervention using these assessments. So we're looking to have 80% of our students at or above the benchmark by the end of the year. So a couple of action steps, and I won't review them all because it's kind of lengthy. But as Maureen said, we have a MELT team. MELT stands for Middle and Elementary School Leadership Team. And that group is comprised of elementary team leaders at their grade levels, as well as content area leaders at the middle school level. We spend a tremendous amount of time looking at data, seeing where students need more support,
seeing where they're actually excelling, seeing what supports that we can put in place for our students. So we spend a lot of time looking at this information during that time. We also, at the elementary level, we're looking at updating our core literacy programs in ELA. So we have a pilot group that's looking at 2 different programs. One is the updated version of the program that we're using now, and another one is a program through Amplify called CKLA. So we have just finished piloting the first program, and we're shifting into piloting CKLA through the remainder of the year, and we're going to make a decision as to what program we're going to move forward with. We also have ongoing professional development in the areas of ELA, in UDL and multi-tiered system of support. We also have various professional development opportunities for middle school teachers, including patterns of power, and also we're working with Bill Worley from the collaborative on focusing on our writing. Looking at, I know that it was brought up earlier about ST Math. We're looking to ensure that 80% of our students make 80% progress on their math journey. So we are looking at that data on a weekly basis. We have time in our schedule that students are working on ST Math daily. So I think that most students are on track to do so. We also have an enrichment program that was funded through an ELF grant called Math Lab that students are participating in this year as well. Moving on to management and operations, our second focus area, our school improvement goal there is to adjust and refine the current master schedule to reflect a strong commitment to the principles of the multi-tiered system of support, MTSS, and UDL, including accessible instruction and positive behavior supports. MVS will incorporate time for intervention needs, including tier 2 and tier 3, and in addition to core instruction. So included in that are all of those things that are stated in the goal, as well as common planning time for teachers. So thinking about at the elementary level, making sure that teachers in the elementary school have time daily that they can plan together, look at data together. At the middle school, having time for grade level teachers to meet together, but also content area teachers, time for them to meet together and plan. Also thinking about intervention teachers and special education and making sure the needs of all of our students are being met. Focus area 3, we developed those goals based on some survey data that was put out to the school family community. We're looking at improving ways all of the time that we can communicate with families. So our first goal is MVS will continue to refine family communication methods and establish a system for sharing curriculum information with families, including photos of lessons and activities that highlight what students are learning through regular updates via newsletter, website, and social media platforms. Our second goal in that area, we are a pre-K to 8 school now, looking to increase opportunities for students transitioning from 5th grade, which is considered elementary school, to 6th grade, which is considered middle school at Mountain View. So the goal is developing a plan for supporting students transitioning from elementary to middle school. This plan will include activities for students, as well as information for families to familiarize themselves with the middle school environment, schedule, and expectations, which is something that families are really wanting for the future. So a couple of benchmarks around that. Teachers and staff will collaborate to select key learning moments representing classroom instruction, reflecting student learning in the classroom, supporting our commitment to engaging MVS families to strengthen the homeschool partnership. and also planning some transitional events. So those are events we implemented for the past 2 years, some transitional events for students, but this year we're going to be planning some transitional events for families as well. So I look forward to that in the spring.
Sorry, I was picking up my child.
Oh.
I do know that man, that's my husband. Sorry.
The last area is around professional culture. And this goal, these goals are a little bit of a well, at least the second goal, are a little bit of a continuation from our previous plan, considering the fact that our professional development around UDL and MTSS are multi-year professional development plans. But the first goal in this area is aligning and integrating the student support team process at the elementary and middle school levels. It looked a little bit different as we transitioned into the new school. We're looking to align those two, and we have some great folks involved in doing that, and some professional development as well. And that's certainly aimed at increasing student success, looking at our Tier 2 programs, how can we better support students, going back and hopefully decreasing our referrals to special education. And secondarily, MVS staff will engage in professional learning that allows the tools to align instructional decision-making with the principles of MTSS and the UDL framework. So currently our SST coordinators are meeting weekly to discuss students at the elementary and middle school levels. They're collaborating with one another to make sure the processes are aligned, also with our special education coordinators and our literacy and math coaches. Hello? And also, I talked here just about some benchmarking around MTSS and UDL and the professional development programs that we are implementing for the upcoming couple of years. Are there questions I can answer for you?
Before I ask if there are any questions, do you have anything you want to add? You started with something, so you don't have anything to add. But if you have something else to add.
Well, I just want to.
You don't have to.
No. I'll add a quick statement. That I think it's a very solid plan. It is taking a lot of the components that, again, we were asked to add last year. And there was no disagreement on the floor that it wasn't a good plan. Like everybody said, this is a good plan. There were some suggestions for change that are incorporated in this, but everybody agreed that it was a good plan. So it's a, very forward-looking plan with high goals. And for the ST Math, every Monday, they give us a update on where we are, right, as a district, and then they can tell you the goals that they'd like to see you achieve. So the 80% is also within the realm of what they wanted to see happen in order for the use of the program at that school.
We're fortunate that we have what is called an ST Math champion on site. So at the elementary level, it's Margaret Betts, and at the middle school level, it's Jennifer Oliver. And they're also our math interventionists, and they're really focused on making sure our data is showing that our students are making good progress on their journey.
Any questions, Linda?
Well, I just want to make a comment that I had noticed as I went through the plan that so many of the things that we had discussed being implemented were implemented. And I feel in a very thoughtful and looks like it'll be productive. I mean, we have benchmarks, we have things set, we have put things in place, and I'm excited about this plan.
I am too. Thank you.
And I just want to say too, I also really like the way, I just like how this is written. I feel like I'm not an expert in any of this, but if somebody were to ask me, oh, what's the, what are the goals of the school improvement plan for Mountain View School? I think I would probably be able to do a pretty good job of explaining that without looking too many times. And that's but it's very detailed, but it's also like, it's not impossible to understand.
I think the focus area, there's a lot of jargon in education. And, it's kind of hard to avoid at times, but I think the focus areas kind of help with that.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I really like this. I really appreciate the amount of time that's gone into it. And thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate the 80% benchmark. I think it's super ambitious, but I think that's a good idea because we know as making goals, even as a teacher, that you don't always reach the goal, but if you set it high, you have something to try to attain, and if you don't, you get to grow from there. You don't have to say, oh, we didn't make it, we start over. You see the progress, but I really appreciate the ambition there. And I think that the developing supportive transitions is also key and really important because I think sometimes it gets lost in the shuffle. Everyone's so busy, but it is still such a new concept, this building of K to 8, pre-K to 8. And you're taking 4 separate schools essentially and smashing them together for different environments, different cultures. It takes time, it takes management of different sorts, and it's a lofty goal, so thank all of you.
Thank you for
And so I think that it's also important. I think people might get lost in that it's one school, but really from 5th grade to 6th grade is a humongous leap in children's development, but also from an elementary to a middle school. So that you all have your eyes set on that is really positive.
I think that in terms of the benchmarks, I think time will tell. This is our first year implementing ST Math, so is 80% a lofty goal in terms of the journey? I don't know yet. So I guess we'll see. In terms of Renaissance data and STAR, I think that 80% is a pretty standard number when you're looking, at old models like RTI. You're looking for forward progress, and you're hoping that 80% of your students are going to be on benchmark, and maybe students beyond that will be needing some sort of intervention somewhere, whether that's through enrichment or tier 2 support or a referral for special education. It's our first time using Renaissance STAR. Well, it's not our first time ever, but it's our first time in a while using Renaissance STAR in the middle school. We were using IXL before. So, I'm hoping that benchmark is a good place to start, but again, time will tell on that too.
Yeah, that's an important distinction. When we're talking about not knowing what the benchmark was from last year, we're sort of looking, and then next year.
This is our baseline.
We can refine.
When do you determine the benchmark or the 80%? How do you find out if they have achieved that? How often do you?
And we assess 3 times a year.
Have they made it yet? Have they done it yet? Have they hit 80%?
They did the September and they did the January. We just finished that window. And we're looking that they're at or above benchmark by June.
Yeah.
That they can tell all the time.
Oh, okay. Are they pretty much there, or where are we?
People, I can't tell you off the top of my head, but they're making progress toward their journey. So we're looking that 80% are making 80% progress toward their journey by the end of the year.
Yeah. They should, that's helpful. Laura, I see you, Maureen, you had something you wanted to say?
Oh yeah, I just want to say about the STAR. The reason I like STAR is that you can also see students' individual growth. So it's not just, so it's them, compared to where they were. If we use STAR last year, you can see at the end of the year last year, beginning of the year this year, middle of the year, and then end. So you can actually do end of year, grade before to end of year here. So, and also the STAR has a very good indicator of how kids are going to perform on the MCAS. It's one of those tests that will give you an idea of how they're going to perform. So they're still taking the MCAS, so we all realize that we're still using that as an accountability measure for our schools, and the state are using it, and the federal government's using it for accountability. So it's still important that kids perform well on it, and so with the STAR data, you can actually see also what standards they're having trouble with, and how you can intervene prior to them finishing the year, right? Or also prior to taking the MCAS.
it actually includes a report that you can run based on, state of Massachusetts standards that would indicate how students are predicted to do on MCAS. I'm not really sure how valid that report is, but I think it's helpful, as Maureen said, to look at the standards that the students are struggling with, and it could help us in providing additional instruction or support for students who need it.
Laura, did you have thoughts, questions?
Yes, good discussion. Thank you, Dr. Pasquini-Torquia. This is really thorough, per the usual. I have a question under management and operations. When you're referring to that refinement of the current master schedule, I know this is a 2-year plan, but I'm wondering what you think the odds are of having a new current master schedule to implement this coming September, or what your expected timeline is on that?
We will have a master schedule for sure. That's not to say that it won't change the following year. So, we will have a master schedule. I think one part of that is feedback that I heard loud and clear is that families want to know what the schedule is. They want to see what subjects their children are in during the school day. So with the information that we put out late summer to parents, families will have in their hand their children's schedule for the upcoming year, so they'll know what that looks like. And we continue to refine it. If I had the perfect schedule, especially at the middle school level when we are more tied to block scheduling, I think I'd be a millionaire. I wish I had the answers to providing the best middle school schedule, but I continue to talk to my colleagues around the state to try to make it better and better every year. We're looking at some different things, utilizing our staff during WIN block, providing enrichment opportunities and interventions to students who need it. This is the first year that we've had a math interventionist at the middle school, and it's been a really valuable addition for us. So I'm looking forward to see how that progresses moving forward and how we continue to utilize staff during WIN block and during other times. So yeah, there's that. Also, we're looking at adding an additional algebra block for students as an opportunity moving forward. So we need to look at how we're teaching mathematics before that in the years leading up to it, so that students learn all of the content that they need before getting to 8th grade and having the opportunity to take algebra there. We really would like to increase the number of students who have the opportunity to take algebra in middle school so that they have more opportunities to take advanced mathematics in high school.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions from the committee?
I had one more. I was just wondering about the family and community engagement, and I was at the Step Up event, so I was just curious if you guys were talking about anything for this coming spring or summer, any specific actions that might...
Are you talking about for transitional events?
Yeah, from 5th to 6th.
Yeah, so a lot of the parents that are coming up through the ranks haven't been over to our middle school. So we're looking to provide some tours for folks, some opportunities to talk to staff members, meet some staff members, an informational night about what the day looks like, what some homework expectations might be, curricular expectations. I think that what I'm hearing from 6th grade parents in particular is that it has been a bit of a jump in terms of work expectations, going from 5th grade, more of an elementary model, although we are departmentalized at the 5th grade level for the most part, but having the block scheduling and switching classes for all of their subject areas, it's been, it's different. And and parents want to know more information about it. So that is some feedback that we have received, and we're looking forward to delivering on that in the spring.
Let's go, bring some students in too, because
I think that's a great
I've met quite a
idea.
few sixth graders who are pretty dazzled, like to the point of being utterly confused.
Yeah, I think that's a great, well, and you know, what we plan on doing is having our, you know, we try to provide as many opportunities that we can for our fifth graders. You know, they're eating lunch over in the middle school cafeteria. They're taking some classes over there. We have some buddy situations that, you know, they're mingling with middle school students more. We have some fun transitional events come spring for our fifth graders going into sixth, but they haven't really spent time in a sixth grade classroom, and that's another plan that we're looking to implement this spring as well.
Great, thanks.
You're welcome.
I just have two quick questions for you, and just a comment also that I think from last year and then the work session that we have over the summer, I just think this is really great. I love seeing these really specific goals. I'm excited by them. I did want to, since it came up in the high school one, and I think that you were telling me that there is a curriculum for anti-bias discrimination at the elementary, middle school level. Is that, it's not one of the plans here, but.
Yeah, so I actually, Mayor LaChapelle brought that up as well. So, you know, we're working with an equity steering committee to have those discussions as well. I think that for us, at least at the elementary and middle school levels, we've been having some conversations with Julianne Levin about it. It's not for lack of resources. I mean, there's certainly a lot of resources out there, a lot of resources that we have. It's about how we're going to implement that. So, you know, when is the time during our day that we implement that? Is it integrated throughout? Is it during our morning meetings? Is it, you know, during our English language arts time? And those are discussions that we continue to have. So it's certainly going to be a conversation for upcoming MELT. And we're working with our teams to see how we're going to do that. Over the past few years, we had a professional learning community that was focused on social justice and equity. Jill Collins and Hannah Elliott put together some wonderful resources for our staff at the elementary level that springboarded into resources for our middle school folks. We have all of that information that in a Google Classroom, and we're just looking for some guidance about how we're going to implement it school-wide.
To also, I think the information from that two-step program is also.
Second step.
Second step is also.
Like a dance.
Is also important as far as, you know, how students treat each other and the information that comes from there also.
And that's a K-8 program. All of our teachers have been trained recently, as recently as this year, on that program, and they're using that school-wide.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure that was.
Everybody knows it.
Yeah. And then I did have one last question, as we were talking about, just so I understand the process. I think when we were looking at the high school one, Principal Evans was telling us about a vote of approval, and it sounded like this time there was not necessarily a vote, but it's just a general consensus.
So yeah, we brought this to, we brought, you know, based on feedback along the line, we brought our plan to the council, and the council approved it going forward.
Okay, just wanted to clarify what
it was. You know, there wasn't any opposition to the plan going forward.
Okay. Unless there's any other questions, and I do want to. I see a hand raised from the public remotely, and I just am reminding folks that we are not able to interact after public speak with folks. We're not interact at all from the public. Just didn't want you to think that we were ignoring you. If there are no other questions, I will entertain a motion to approve the Mountain View School Improvement Plan for 2025 to 2027. not all at once, but
I'll move to accept the Mountain View School Improvement Plan for 2025 to 2027.
Second.
okay. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? And any abstentions? Laura continues to abstain just because she's not here in person.
Fine.
She approves in her heart, she's just abstaining from.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. What's that?
Next one's mine too, D.
Yeah, this whole thing is your meeting. Yeah. We're gonna stick with the super, thank you all so much. Thank you. And just to clarify that, like everyone we have Laura at home, and we have illness all around. My caregiver, for the second time, fell through, it was my son in that room coughing and playing on his computer. Sorry for the confusion. Because my caregiver is sick.
There you go.
Okay.
So the next thing that I want to bring up is, first of all, Nick Bernier, business director, will be leaving. Friday is his last day, and the last meeting, the school committee got to thank him. I just want to make sure we thank him again for the work that he's done here. And we were looking and searching really since October for a person that would be the director of school business services for us. And just recently, we had a great candidate we interviewed, and tonight we'd like to recommend the appointment of Julia Sari-Franks to the position of Director of School Business Services, and to authorize me to enter into contract negotiations on behalf of the school committee, which we will then come back for the signed contract from the school committee. Today I spoke to her. She's coming from the Quabbin School District. Included in your packet is her resume. Very interesting that her and Mr. Bernier were in the same class, that when they were both learning to be school business directors. She does come to us. She's licensed as a school business manager, which is something that a school business administrator you have to have. She did also work in the West Springfield Public Schools, and she also worked in the Springfield Public Schools, and she worked in the Southbridge Public Schools. She, like Nick, was a social studies teacher, so that's a good sign for all of us, right? And she was a team leader, and I can't say it enough of how important it is would have a school business administrator that understands schools.
Yes.
The training is different for a school administrator, business administrator, than it is for a teacher, and, a school administrator, and to, again, find somebody that understands teaching and learning in the classroom and the importance of how budget works for that, and able to prioritize what we need for schools. So I talked to Julia today, and her district, I want to thank them, has released her early from her 60-day commitment to them, and she will be starting here on February 12th.
Wonderful.
Great.
So looking forward to Julia starting here, and I think she'll do a great job. And Mr. Bernier has said that he would mentor Julia so that we'll have a smooth transition here. So we'll be in good shape. Cool. So I'm just asking that you approve that appointment. I don't know if you have any other questions.
It's fantastic. I'm thrilled.
We're thrilled.
Very excited.
Yes.
If there's any other discussion, or I will entertain a motion to approve the recommended appointment of Julia Sari-Franks to the position of Director of Business Services, and authorize interim superintendent Maureen Beninda to enter into contract negotiations with Julia Sari-Franks.
So moved. Do you want to second that?
I second.
Oh, you second it, okay.
Eric seconded it. Sam, okay, good. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Abstentions? Okay, wonderful.
Wait for that.
Anything else from the superintendent's side of things?
Laura made it.
Oh, Laura, no, I think that's an abstain.
Oh, my bad.
Yep, nope, that's good.
Just want also just to say that our superintendent has reviewed the contract that was sent by the school committee, and her lawyer is looking at that, and we fully expect to have that contract signed also within the next week.
Awesome.
Also something we're thrilled about.
Yes.
Music to my ears.
All right.
That's it for me.
Great. And we can move on to our business update. Typically, our Director of Business Services, Nick Bernier, will be here. We've had 2 meetings in this month, so for a bunch of reasons, we don't have a business update, including that this is his last week. But we heard about December last meeting, so we're not missing any information there, just for the record. So we will move on to school committee discussion. Is there any update from the policy subcommittee?
We have not met. We will be meeting soon. I don't have the date offhand, but it is soon.
Is it scheduled, available on the, or it's going soon to the website?
It is not on the website yet, but it will be.
It will be, okay.
I just realized just now that I didn't have the date.
Okay.
One of the things, so I don't know where this really fits in, but it does fit in under policy. I have been looking through our policies just around the, I know that there's been a lot in the news about immigration and ICE in schools in particular, and so I know that we wanted to take a second to just kind of inform the community about where our practices were at, and I guess I just want to assure everybody that we really want all of our kids in our schools, and our schools are safe for all of our kids, and that's the number one priority, and that's the number one thing that underlines all of our school policies. So I wanted to make sure that we got that out. I don't know, Maureen, if we want to speak to a little bit more. I know it's kind of an ever-changing situation.
So it is an ever-changing situation. So on Friday, I sent out a letter, 'cause I had received a lot of emails from parents, really worrying about LGBTQ plus students and what was happening in the federal legislation regarding them. And so we wanted to send a letter out saying that all our students we value here. And these are our policies, and we're expecting students in schools to also following them, respecting each other. So we sent that out just so that people, everybody knows that we stand here firm, still all together, that we're going to protect every student and everybody that works in our school district. On 4 o'clock on Friday, we received new guidelines from the Attorney General's Office and Department of Elementary and Secondary Ed. The guidelines had made some changes from the week before that we didn't send out because I felt as though these guidelines are going to change. So let's wait and see what happens. And sure enough, the guidelines changed. And the biggest difference in the guidelines was that if ICE comes to a school, we do not let the ICE person into the building, that we nicely ask them to come to the superintendent's office and meet with the superintendent. At that point, they would issue the warrant, show me the warrant. I would call our legal counsel in to look at the warrant to verify that the warrant is a legitimate warrant. In the meantime, we also contact the parent and let the parent know that there's ICE here asking for a warrant to see their child. The parent then has an opportunity to go to court and get an injunction. So, everybody knows this now in the district, all the secretaries, the principals, they all know that that's the way we have to follow the actions. That's the actions we have to follow. There was a question that I think parents were asking that we did not address until yesterday when I met with the bus company, and that is the question that was set forth about what happens if ICE are at bus stops. And we had a special training on that yesterday from DESE, and basically what they said is that you cannot as a committee make a policy that directly stops ICE from being at bus stops, or we cannot tell bus drivers they have to drive by a bus stop that has an ICE person, sign on their shirt. So I did call Durham. Durham is our bus company, and was really happy to share this with you that I found out also. And that is Durham already has a policy that says anytime there's any disruption for any student for any reason at a bus stop, or there is somebody at the bus stop that the child does not recognize as somebody in their family, that's the policy and the training for the bus drivers, that they are not to stop and go back to the hub. So we're not making new policy that says we're stopping things because of ice. We're following a policy the bus company already has, which also is taught in a video. So not only is it a policy they have, but it's in their video, their training, so that they can show that we're just following normal policy as already approved by the bus company. So I think people should feel better about that. I certainly do. And as things change, I will send out emails and if necessary, phone calls to parents, family, and also staff, because staff also, are worried and concerned at this point too. So we want to make sure that everybody knows the information. And we're trying to stick to the facts because in no way do we want it to be seen that Easthampton is standing up and saying we won't follow a federal warrant. So we're sticking to the facts. This is what we have to do. We are just as concerned as everybody else about our students and our families and our staff, but we have to follow what's given to us. So my job will be to continue to keep you informed and to let you know that through all of this, we all do stand as one for all the students here in Easthampton.
And I'll say, if anybody has any specific concerns about your specific family or your specific child, please reach out to your principal or to the interim superintendent, because we want to make sure that if you're worried about something, that's not preventing you and your child from being able to come to school. So, so please reach out, and also you can reach out to any of us. We'll probably just send you to the right people. But we've definitely heard from folks over the weekend and during this week. And I appreciate folks reaching out and asking questions. So, and I appreciate also just the care that everybody in this community has for everybody else in this community. It's been really apparent in the last week. And that's been great. So that's my policy update.
Okay. Since this is our topic right now, I did confirm with Chair Laura Scott that I was going to give an opportunity if anyone has anything else that they would like to say on this sort of vein. This is your opportunity to say something. You don't have to say anything, but if you had something you wanted to say. I think I just wanted to add, in addition to all the things that we're talking about here, I just wanted to reiterate for the record that we are parents and community members as well as school committee members, and we are as concerned and upset and afraid as to different degrees as all of you are, and we recognize that there are people who have different opinions who are not feeling that way right now as well, and our job remains focused on the best interests of all of the kids who are in our district, encompassed under all of those different beliefs. So as Sam just said, you belong here, your family belongs here, you as a student belong here, you as a teacher, as an educator, as a staff member belong here, and we can't make any legal statements or anything along that. Trust me, I wanted to, but I've been told that I can't say a lot of things about how I would love to protect every single person myself. But we are here to protect, to the best of our ability, those who are in our district. And I've seen some, again, not legal advice, not legal statements, but just lots of be aware. I hope that there will be some opportunities throughout the city for information around all of this. Just be aware of as sort of the community responsibility of what you are talking about and worrying about in public and sort of the public facing aspects of this. And the last thing that I wanted to say, which was referenced earlier, is that we do have these ongoing meetings with the Easthampton Public Schools Equity Steering Committee, and I won't read the entire contract of that, but I just thought it was really timely to highlight some of the components of that contract that we signed at the start of this year. And the contract refers back to our work over the past 10 years with the group that we consult with. So I'm just going to read a piece of that. Rapid change, and again, this was signed in the contract from September, the start of the school year. Rapid change leading to ongoing tensions in our local, national, and global contexts has accompanied increased anxiety in our school communities. We believe it's imperative to support educators and students to learn from, challenge, and support one another as we navigate polarization and fragmentation in our communities so that we can find our common ground. School districts around the country are seeing an increase in hate and bias incidents in our schools. In our work focusing on bridging to belonging, we explore tensions across social differences and ideologies that are present in our schools and communities and share concrete tools and skills that can support all students and educators to feel a sense of agency and confidence to bridge those differences in a way that centers both learning and care. The EPS Equity Steering Committee is embarking on its 9th year of working to create school environments that support cultures of belonging, authentic learning, safety, and care. Developing a strong sense of belonging in schools and the bridging required to achieve it can be understood through several key concepts, including full participation. All students have the right to fully participate in and co-create their educational environment. Valuing diverse stories. Each student's story and experiences are fully seen and valued. Equal dignity. All students are respected as equal human beings with full dignity regardless of their background. Structural inclusion. The school environment and systems are designed to work for all students, not just the dominant group. And shared humanity. Recognition of the interconnectedness between all students, staff, and the broader community. And that work is ongoing, has been going on for 9 years. That is not to say we are done or we do it perfectly. We are never done. The work continues. I could keep going for a long time, but I won't. Okay. Did anything that I saw you raise your...
I just wanted to say that I continue to be committed to all students in this community. I believe that this is a community that cares, and I share the values that have been put forth in this, and I think that the work is ongoing and will continue to be ongoing. That is what we as people in a society do. We continue to work to find equitable solutions for everyone.
All right, I'll move on to the Finance Subcommittee update, of which there is none. There is a meeting scheduled. It's that the agenda hasn't been sent yet, so it's also not on the city website. This is a note to the chair of that committee. That's me.
That is.
to whoever that is. But there will be a series of, I keep wanting to call them appointments, meetings in February and in March as we prepare the budget, and I am thrilled that we have a new, highly recommended Director of Business Services. I feel much better. Any CES update?
I have a slight CES update. So first of all, we're meeting tomorrow. In preparing for the meeting tomorrow, I don't know if anybody read in the paper a couple of weeks ago, there was a Daily Hampshire Gazette article about the collaborative laying off 10 staff due to budget shortfalls. We've talked before, so that the public is aware, the collaborative is a nonprofit, and we are members of that nonprofit, us and 36 other school committees. So part of our membership means that we work with them on some services that we're not able to provide in district in a cost-effective way. That's kind of the original idea behind the collaborative. Now, since that was established like 50 years ago, the landscape of public education in general has changed, and now it's becoming clear that a lot of the services that we contract with the collaborative is also having challenges offering them in a way that is cost-effective. And so there's just been I've been kind of going through getting ready for this meeting tomorrow, going through some of the financial issues at the collaborative. I'm just like a little bit concerned, and you guys have all heard me talk a lot recently about like my concern, my existential concern for public education as we know it and the way that it's funded in our state. And so I'm going to be going tomorrow to just ask kind of like what the short and long-term picture is for financial, like for fiscal sustainability and health with the collaborative. I think like the fact that, you know, there's been news articles about it, you know, makes me just a little bit nervous, and we rely on them for a lot of our, and also just as an aside, the work that they do with us in our district is really, really good. Like we're generally like very, very happy with them. So I just wanted to know if anybody had any questions or anything that you wanted me to bring to their attention, or if you want to think about it and call me in the next 12 hours. I wanted to give you guys a chance to weigh in on that. Or if there's anything you want me to bring back, you know, keep an eye out for.
I can think about that.
Yeah.
So there are other collaboratives also that are talking about cutting services, and one of the reasons they're cutting is that they offer teacher professional development.
Yeah.
And they say that with the smaller number of people interested in the teaching profession, that they're not taking their classes, so the number of people they have hired to teach the classes are no longer needed. And so in June, they're laying those people off. So,
yeah, that's what's happening at this collaborative in particular, yeah.
So I think that's common. It's happening, and it's something to be aware of, because, you know, we don't want a teacher shortage.
No, this is the problem is,
yes,
you know, I feel like we use the collaborative as well as 36 other school districts do in the area to like help with some of those things that we need in order to be a modern school district. And then those are the things that they're having trouble providing now in an affordable way. So, yeah, but that's good to know that is a something kind of more across the state as well.
And I just want to make explicitly, abundantly clear that these cuts are not within our district.
No.
This is to a different organization.
Yes.
Staffing this has nothing to do with our district, our employment, or anything. I just wanted to make sure that's really, you didn't make it sound like it was. I just wanted to
That's
reiterate. Yeah.
So yeah, if anybody has any other thoughts about that or like thinks about anything overnight, I'd be happy to do a little bit of brainstorming. I just it feels weird because I'm like going to represent Easthampton, and then like I don't know a whole lot of other people on the board super well, and so it's a very different feel, and I kind of want to make sure I'm not just rubber stamping. Like I want to make sure that we're doing a good job of like representing our interests there. So
I'll be curious to hear what updates you have, but I don't have any questions.
Okay.
All right, with that, we are ready to move on to action items, and I have turned the responsibility for action items over to Sam, although now that I'm saying that, are you okay to do it in the mask? And
yeah, I'm fine, as long as you guys can hear me okay.
Yep.
I just have to like make myself project.
Okay, thank you, project right into your mask, thank you.
All right, so a motion to approve the school payroll dated 1/9/2025 and the amount of $618,270.43.
Do I have a second? Need a new seconder.
Yeah, usually it's me.
I'll second.
I'll be. Ben seconded. Okay. You can do the next one if you want. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? All those who abstain?
Abstention.
We have one abstention, and I see nothing. Laura Scott is also abstaining. Okay.
Motion to approve the accounts payable authorization for payment dated 1/9/2025 in the amount of $141,496.03.
Second.
Ben seconded. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Any abstentions?
Abstain.
Those two abstentions. And our next motion.
Motion to approve school payroll dated 1/9/2025 supplemental in the amount of $625.96.
It might be a negative.
Oh, it's a negative?
Yeah.
Oh. I thought that was just a little speck.
Yeah, so that's unusual.
It's a negative.
It's a negative.
I
have no background for you.
Okay.
Do you have any background?
Yeah. Yes.
So this is a correction of past payrolls, and it just happened to be a negative. Somebody got, like, benefits were booked twice in one, so it becomes a negative in the next. It's, nothing's wrong, nothing's stolen. It's just an accounting error that we're fixing, that we find in just regular reviews of payroll.
Great, thank you. That's
So
helpful.
of the amount of negative $625.96.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
Abstain.
We have our 2 abstentions. And we are on to D.
All right, motion to approve the $6,890.24 budget transfer from MVS payroll, some from 305 fiscal year 2025, and some of, it's the contract. Some from 305 FY 2025, and some of 305 FY 24.
I'll second that.
So it's just moving, I assume, just moving funds from one account to another. Okay, it's fine with me.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Any abstentions?
Abstain.
Got our 2. And then we do have one more action item. And would you like, I lost my piece of paper. It's the motion to approve, where, I can't, it's gone. Oh, here it is. If you would like to make a motion to approve.
All right, I make a motion to approve the out-of-state field trip request form for the We the People team. Do I have to read it?
I don't know.
Read it exactly. For the students to compete in the National We the People Finals competition and travel to historic sites and learn about the Constitution. And that will be for April 8th until April 12th. And they're traveling by bus to Washington, D.C. Leesburg, Virginia, and Washington, D.C., it says.
Yes.
All right.
I'll second that.
All right.
Anything
to add? Just congratulations.
Just, we are so thrilled.
I plan to be going.
Yeah, I bet you do.
Linda's
Very
going too.
exciting. I'm thinking Laura's also probably very excited, and so our whole community is just, we're so proud of that team.
And we should, I guess we should, kind of, I will say we should just put this right into our budget every year. It happens every single year. So.
Noted. We'll bring it up in finance committee. That's not part of the motion.
All right.
Okay, so motion was made. Right? Sam made the motion.
Yep.
I seconded.
And Ben seconded it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those
Very
opposed?
exciting.
And any abstentions? And to be clear, she's abstaining because she's at home and not present for the vote, not because she has any lack of support for the thing. Okay. We have our upcoming meetings for the rest of the year as they are scheduled now, listed on the agenda. Our next regular session being scheduled for February 11th, 2025. Okay. And we are not going into executive session, and so with that, I will take a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right. Do we need to roll call out for adjourn? Okay, so we will roll call out. Ben Hersey.
Ben Hersey, good night.
Eric Gayak, good night.
Megan Harvey, good night.
Sam Hunter, good night.
Linda Markey, good night.
Mary LaChapelle, good night.
Laura, do you want to say good night? Go ahead.
Good night, Laura.
Good night, everybody. Great job, everyone.
Feel better, Laura.
Feel better. Thank you.
I'm taking all these, yes.
Yeah, we're putting these in your office.
These work out so much better.
Yeah, that was
I don't actually know if the meeting is off or not.
Wasn't it? When is the first?